So when it comes to Brexit, we've always said, our economy is 80% based on services. That's not goods. So it's not things like steel or cars or things like that. We are a service-driven economy. So what is a service? Just for those of you who may not know what a service is. So a service is something like banking. Banking is a service. If you work in marketing, marketing is a service. If you work in HR, that is a service that you provide. If you sell insurance, that is something that, again, a service you provide to people. And if you are, let's say, a company who has a product that provides a service like the one I've used before. I have a friend who he works in IT, but he has what their company does. It provides the system that essentially allows gyms to be digital. So when you go now, you put in your code. All that in the background is what that is. That is a service that they provide to gyms. So our economy being made up of that, and especially as we've made the point before, data, this once again has not been talked about or even touched about by even other channels that talk about Brexit like mine. Data is pretty important when it comes to all this. So the fact that we are a service-based economy is incredibly important, and the fact that this very bare bones deal that Boris Johnson did includes nothing, absolutely nothing about services should be incredibly worrying to anyone, regardless of where you fall on Brexit. So, before we jump into our article today, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And thank you very much to all those people who do support the channel. So, on with today's article. So, this comes from the Financial Times, and the title is Brexit shrank the UK services exports by 110 billion, academics find. So, Brexit shrank the UK services export by more than 110 billion over a 4-year period, new research shows, highlighting the far-reaching trade implications of Britain's decision to break away from the EU. Experts at Aston University in Birmingham found that the UK services exports from 2016 to 2019 were cumulatively £113 billion lower than they would have been had the UK not voted to quit the EU in June of 2016. Researchers calculated the figure by projecting how industries from IT and financial services and business services would have grown if they had continued on their previous paths compared with how they had actually progressed since the vote of Brexit, and the gap was £113 billion. That is a lot of money to lose. And like I say, services are so important to our economy. It may make up 80% of it. Anyway, it continues. What we find raises serious concerns about the damage to the UK services trade position and the likely spillovers to the economy and jobs related to the service sector. Dr. Jun Andu, Professor of Economics at Aston Business School. The findings point to the underlying challenges the UK service exporters will face in maintaining trade with the EU after the conclusion of the UK's post-Brexit deal with Brussels. The agreement contains very minimal provisions on financial and professional services, industries that are critical to Britain's economy. Like I say, when it's made up of 80% of it, it's probably a bit more than critical. In 2019, the UK ran an £18 billion surplus in the service trade with the EU against a deficit of £97 billion in goods. Data for 2020 were not included in the Aston study because the pandemic has distorted economics so greatly Du told the Financial Times that the trend of services companies moving away from the UK would very likely accelerate as the pandemic's influence fades. The COVID period has created difficulties in moving businesses and individuals, which has slowed down this relocation process, and it will now start to pick up and get worse as businesses see that there is not much going on in the UK-EU negotiations. And I think this is just the beginning, she said. Financial services exports were by far the hardest hit in monetary terms, as banks, insurers and asset managers moved thousands of pounds and people in capital from hubs in the city and Canary Wharf to new centres in Frankfurt, Paris, Amsterdam and Dublin, so that they could trade seamlessly with clients after Brexit. The other most affected UK sectors include business services, so that's HR, marketing, things like that, travel, transportation, IT, and the Aston research found. Behind the scenes, the effect from leaving the EU is clearly starting to show up in the data, said John Springfield, Deputy Director for the Centre of European Reform think tank. Citing his own research and figures from the Office of National Statistics, the London School of Economics, and the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change, he said that the data shows the UK trade with the EU has fallen by a fifth because of Brexit. Brexit has already made Britain a poorer compared to the branch of history in which Britain remained in the EU, or even indeed the single market, he added. Ireland's cumulative service exports from 2016 to 2019 were £126 billion higher than projections based on trends based in 2016. And Aston's professors has argued that this is because Ireland has won the UK business after Brexit, and Irish economists, however, disagree. Ireland's services export boom has been mainly due to the fact of ITC exports, mainly Facebook and Google, etc., said Colin McCauley, the chief economist at Ireland's largest stockbroker Davy. Referring to the information communications and technology sector, these companies were already operating in Ireland prior to the referendum and have seen explosive growth since then. What have we been saying since the very beginning of this whole thing? You know, we are a service-driven economy, and you've got places like where I am in Barnsley is sandwiched right in between Sheffield and Leeds. And Leeds, outside of London, is one of the biggest financial sectors in the UK. A lot of banks have like their northern hubs there. That is going to see jobs and money moved from London will affect Leeds as well. Sheffield has a massive digital business scene that was really expanding, but that has naturally now started to slow down. Well, mostly, again, will it be a pandemic slowdown that's caused it, or will Brexit also play a part in it as well? Because the numbers were again showing that a lot of European businesses weren't as attracted to Sheffield as a lot previously were prior to the referendum. And that is going to hurt my town, because Barnsley has slowly become more and more of a commuter town. You know, people live in Barnsley, but they work in Leeds or Sheffield, or they work in, the surrounding area, because Barnsley has incredible good transport links. But this will ultimately lead to some incredibly bad times. And again, post-Brexit, well, not post-Brexit, but post-pandemic, we are going to see Britain hit, as a lot of people said at the last year, why on earth are we pursuing Brexit when we've got the pandemic that is going to adversely affect us like that? And everyone was saying, move it, just move the Brexit date. Let us deal with the pandemic first, then we'll get on to finishing Brexit. But of course, the Conservatives were like, no, we have to get Brexit done. And of course, the Brexiteers wanted it because it was a fantastic opportunity to try and sweep as much damage of Brexit under the rug of COVID as they possibly can. And trust me, they will be blaming COVID for all the Brexit messes going on from this point on. So there you go. Yeah, very, very damaging indeed. But we've only been warning about that for the past 4 to 5 years now. So, oh well. So, thank you for watching. As always, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button on your way out. And of course, down below there is a link to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link as well called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.